La siguiente que escucharemos tiene que ver con uno de estos vídeos que hablaba de las 2.100 startups que hay en Barcelona. Bueno, pues dos de ellas o dos de las primeras que han incorporado la inteligencia artificial como modelo de negocio estarán aquí. Pero antes de eso vamos a hablar de cómo sacar el máximo de provecho a la inteligencia artificial generativa a través de un experto, una persona que lleva mucho tiempo en esto, que conoce bien cómo ha evolucionado el ecosistema y toda la inteligencia artificial, machine learning, y cómo lo hacen las empresas, es decir, desde la visita permanente a los clientes, entendiendo sus retos, sus necesidades y demás. Él es Eduardo Ordax y es de Amazon Web Services. Adelante, Eduardo.
Gracias. Let's start by asking you a question. It's not related to AI, right? How many of you prefer to make it English, Spanish? I mean, like, I can offer only these both options. I can't offer more things. So can you raise your hand if you prefer to make it in English, please? Okay, so I'll make it in English. Anyway, I mean, like, more than happy to answer after the presentation anything that it's in Spanish, but, you know, like, to make it easy for everyone, right? So my name is Eduardo Ordax. I'm working at AWS as a generative AI go-to-market lead across EMEA, and that means like I'm working with customers around the globe, trying to help them to leverage generative AI in their use cases, right? I was actually looking forward to start today here in Barcelona, mainly today right now at the presentation because I was waiting outside and it was completely freezing. And trust me, I'm from Valladolid, but it was like quite freezing there, right? So what is generative AI, right? Because right now everyone is talking about generative AI. And why today? I mean, like, why we are not talking about generative AI like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, because this is something that is not new, right? So there are like essentially 4 main reasons why we are here today. First of all is we need a lot of data, right? To train these models, we need a lot of data. And right now we have available huge amount of data out there in books, in the internet, videos, whatever, right? The second thing that we need to make it possible, generative AI, is to have huge amount of compute power. I mean, like probably everyone knows NVIDIA, GPU. So to train these models, we need compute, and by compute, we mean GPU. So we have huge amount of compute available here today. The next reason is about the incredible innovation that is happening on the AI field during the last few years. Generative AI is powered by transformers. If you know it, transformers, it's a paper that Google released by 2018. The name of the paper was called Attention is All You Need, or All You Need is Attention. So regardless this paper, I mean, like, if you go out there, you will see like huge amount of innovation and research on the field of AI during the last few years, that it's making possible to have this huge innovation pace. But I will say the real reason why we are here today and not like 5 years ago, it's because finally AI has been democratized. I know in the past it was available only for data scientists, ML engineers, data engineers, like, you know, like technical people who was working with this kind of algorithms to predict things, like, hey, how many, I don't know, books I'm going to sell the next year, which are the recommendations for my marketplace, do I going to have like customer churn? But right now, everyone can use these services, these platforms, these applications that they are powered by AI and can use it in one way or the other. So this is the biggest reason why we are here today, because AI has been finally democratized. And something that is going to happen probably sooner than later is like, the problem is not AI. You know, like when you listen to people saying like, hey, AI is going to come to take your job, actually it's not. What is going to come to take your job is the people who is able to use generative AI or use AI in general. But what does it mean when we talk about generative AI, right? I mean, like, it's a slightly different AI than generative AI. So generative AI is kind of artificial intelligence that can generate a content that is super similar to the one generated by humans. I mean, like, if we take a look to these pictures, yeah, probably we know, like, yeah, this is not maybe Elon Musk, or this is not Vladimir Putin, but the reality is, like, the content, it's very, very similar. So it's so similar that in many cases, we are not able even to differentiate if an image or even if some text has been generated by humans or has been generated by AI. Another important aspect about generative AI is that it's powered by foundation models. I'm sure everyone knows here models like Meta, well, Llama from Meta, GPT from OpenAI, Claude from Anthropic. So all this generative AI, it's powered by foundation models. Foundation models has been trained on huge amount of data from internet, books, YouTube, and they have, like a specific number of parameters. We can think about the parameters as the connections of our brain, right? So the more connections we have in our brain, we can say like we are more intelligent, we are more capable, right? So this is happening pretty much the same with the foundation models. The more parameters they have, the more capable, the more intelligent they are, right? So generative AI is powered by foundation models. Something that at the same time is like different to traditional ML is like we can use these algorithms, we can use generative AI for many different use cases. I mean, like we can have the same model that can do many different things. We can use the model for doing like a text summarization. We can use the model to generate images. We can use the model to do classification. In the past, we used to train, like different machine learning models for different purposes. If I wanted to predict customer churn, I was using a model. If I wanted to classify emails, I was using a different model. So with generative AI, we can use the same model for many different purposes. And the last thing, and probably this is one of the most important aspects of generative AI, especially when we are working on the business, is that we can customize this model. We can do something that is called fine-tune these models to train or to learn from your specific data. So let's say I'm a company who is working on the healthcare environment. I can keep training these models. I can fine-tune these models with my own data so I can achieve these models that are going to excel on a specific task, right? And the reality is like the adoption pace of generative AI is super exponential. I mean, like if we compare to previous revolutions, the adoption pace is completely different. I brought today here some, like examples about how to compare, for example, like these applications, these generative AI applications, with previous disruption that we have seen, like in the past. So this is how long did it take to reach 100 million users by the different applications, right? So we can see here Spotify that, like it took 35 months to reach 100 million users. Instagram, 30 months, TikTok, 9 months. Well, ChatGPT, that it was released 2 years ago, I think it was like a couple of weeks ago, they had their second anniversary. It took only a couple of months, that it's pretty crazy, couple of months to hit the 100 million users. I mean, like everyone has Spotify, right? And everyone has using Spotify. 55 months versus 2 months. So we can see, we can understand that when people say like, no, AI, it's just hype, it's, like another cool thing that, like new things will come in the future and we will, like forget about it. Actually, it's not. I mean, like it's super powerful and we are seeing today, right? Like it has transformed the way we work, the way we interact, the way we live, and this is only the beginning. And why I say that it's only the beginning? Because when we observe any new technology, right, we used to say that, like it follows this curve that is like an S, right? Like we start by, like small improvements at the beginning until we reach some kind of inflection point, and then we keep going with, like a different kind of, improvements. If I'm asking you here today, like, where do you think that we are here, like, or where we are in terms of capabilities about AI? What I would say is like we are, like some way in between. I mean, like, as I said before, we are seeing huge innovation, new algorithms, new models, new techniques. So we are like some way in between. So we could say like, hey, we are in a very good situation, right? Like, hey, we are using AI, we are leveraging AI, we are being more productive, we are able to sell more, we are able to, like be more efficient. Well, actually, it's not true, right? The reality, and especially like in different countries, but I would say like here in Europe, we are still a bit behind. If I'm talking in terms of adoption, like how the customers, how the companies, they are using AI today, we are just at the very early days. I mean, like, we are experimenting a lot. We are trying to see the art of the possible. But in terms of adoption, the reality is like we are still, like starting this journey. That's why we still have like a huge opportunity. But one thing is about how many things we can do with AI, and another thing is like, okay, are we doing it? Which are the challenges? Which are the problems? And this is something that I'm going to cover today, right? So when we talk to the customers, and this is based on a report, a survey that Gartner did a few months ago, so probably it has evolved a bit, right? But as you can see, most of the customers, I think it was around 40% of the customers, the blue bar, they are still experimenting with AI. And they have been experimenting for such a long time, I would say, right? So we're still trying, to assess how AI is going to help us, as I said before, to sell more, to be more productive, to be more efficient, to enhance the customer experience, to boost productivity, to automate processes. But we are still in, in that part of the curve, right? We are still experimenting. And when we were asking about how many customers has been able to move into production, it was only around 10% of the customers. So that means how, far we are of, achieving real productivity with AI. So one thing is, what is the technology at the moment? And the technology, maybe it's at this level, but in terms of adoption, we are still there. And why we are still there? So probably many of you have heard a lot about foundation models, large language models. I'm pretty sure everyone knows OpenAI and everyone knows GPT, right? Because we are all the time talking about the foundation models, how capable they are, how intelligent they are we going to achieve AGA, this, incredible general intelligence that is going to save the world, right? So, yeah, probably one day something similar it will arrive, right? But still, the foundation models, they are important, but there are many other components. And this is why many companies today, they are struggling to adopt and to implement AI and generative AI. Because when we move into the real business, we see that there are many other things, right? Yeah, the foundation models, they are important, right? It's like the brain of our body, right? So we have the brain, and we need the brain to coordinate all our movements. But still, I need to have my legs, I need to have my hands, I need to have my mouth, I need to know how to communicate. So it's happening the same thing with generative AI. I mean, like, how I'm going to control that my model is not going to hallucinate, how I'm going to check the cost that I'm using, one model or the other. How can I put guardrails to define how the model is going to answer to specific questions? How I'm going to manage the prompt engineering part. I need to iterate, I need to deploy my prompts, I need to optimize my prompts. I mean, like, I could be here for, almost 4 hours talking about all these different small boxes. But this is why the companies that are struggling to adopt generative AI, because we spend 99% of our time just talking about the foundation model. Yeah, it's important, of course it's important. But how we integrate the foundation model in our business, in our processes, with our people, this is the real challenge. And this is actually what we are doing at AWS. And this is just the only part that I'm going to talk a bit about, my book, our book, AWS, right? But we have tried, to give services to cover all different needs from the customers, because we have many different profiles, right? And we have very, large software based on the different needs of the customers. We have at the bottom layer the infrastructure on the services for those people that they need to train foundation models. So there are companies here in Europe like Mistral, who is in France, or Pulsite, or AI21 that is in Israel, that they need to train foundation models. And they need to have access to infrastructure, to GPUs to train their models. But then we have like the middle layer, right? So we have people, we have builders like probably software developers, data scientists, that they just want to get access to the foundation models to build applications on top of the foundation model, right? I want to build, for example, an application to talk to my documents. Okay, I have Amazon Bedrock, I can select there across many different models, but also I have the tools that I need to integrate these models with my different systems. I have tools to create RAG applications. I have tools to implement agents. I have tools to manage the end-to-end life cycle of my prompts. So this is what we are providing within Amazon Bedrock. It's not only to have access to the models, but also to have access to the tools to build on top of the models. And we don't need to forget that there are also many people that they are just users. I mean, like, I want to use AI as a tool to boost my productivity. But I don't need to be technical. I don't need to be a data scientist or a software developer. So I have tools like, for example, Amazon Q, that is a virtual assistant that can learn from my data, and like it can help me through different questions. Let's say that I want to write a summary report of the latest financial data from my company. I can just ask you like, hey, write me a report about this, and this is going to provide me the information. So we don't need to be technical. We don't need to be like, as I said, software developer, data engineer, to get access to the different tools. And this is what we have built at AWS. But the thing is like, this is like evolving so fast, right? So most of the times what the customers, they are asking us, and they are asking me almost all the time, it's like, okay, where should I focus? Like, we have new models every day, we have new techniques, we have new systems, we have new applications. Where should I focus? Because like when something is released, a couple of weeks later, something new is going to be released, right? So what I'm going to share to you today is trying to be focused on those things that they are not going to change. And the reality is that there are some aspects that they are not going to change over time. And the first lesson for today is like everything that is happening related to AI, it's happening on the cloud. I mean, like talking about AI and talking about the cloud is talking about the same thing. And we have a lot of, information about this in AWS or in Amazon, because we have been doing this for so many years. I mean, like AI ML is not new for us. We are using AI and ML in almost every single aspect of our services, of our processes, right? I mean, like we are selling around 4,000 products per minute in our marketplace. The recommendation engine, the recommendation system that we have behind the scenes is powered by machine learning models. If you look about, our service of Prime, that is, powered by drones, is using computer vision to deliver the packages. But even many of you probably know Alexa, right? And Alexa is powered by more than 30 different models, NLP models, that they are using this technology about the transformers, right? So everything is powered by AI. But even if you take a look to our fulfillment centers, where we are, delivering packages around the world, around, 1.5 million packages per day, that is a huge amount of packages. Let's imagine how we do the things to make sure that we are going to deliver a package even within the same exactly day. So we have demand forecasting algorithms that can predict how many packages I'm going to serve during the Black Friday, or which is the best route to make sure that my package is going to be delivered tomorrow. But I think it's better if you take a look about how it's working in reality. For me, it's like, like seeing a movie from the future. These robots, they are powered by ML and computer vision, and they can optimize the route to make sure that the package is going to be delivered on time, right? So it's pretty amazing, and we can see how, it's going to classify the different boxes about different systems to make sure that, it's also delivered on time. And this is the real value of AI, right? We are not talking about AI like, hey, we have like cool things that, yeah, I can create, like the image of my avatar, or I can ask ChatGPT to write a summary of something, or to create an image of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I mean, like, I'm using AI to generate value, to give more packets to our customers, to deliver on time, and so on, right? So this is the real use of artificial intelligence. Another important aspect that I consider that is super important, and we have seen, like at AWS and Amazon as well, is like we need to experiment, right? And especially when we are facing new technologies, it's super important to try them, to see what is the art of the possible, what we can do, but even much more important, what we are not able to do. And that's why we released a few months ago something that is called Party Rock. I encourage every one of you to go into Party Rock. It's for free, you can get access, and you can create applications from scratch in a very easy manner. This is an example. I'm playing to the Fantasy Premier League with my friends. I never have time to make, like the good team, so I decided to create an application on Party Rock that I was giving the instructions of how the Fantasy Premier League is working, like, hey, I have a budget of £100 million. I need to select the players. This is going to be the different formations. I need to have a midfielder, I need to have a goalkeeper, I need to have a defender. So I just gave it, like the instructions, and in less than a minute, I just create the application. And as you can see here, I just select the budget, and it's going to give me, like different options of different players. This is nice, but what is always actually much better is like today, I'm in the first position of the Fantasy Premier League, and it was Party Rock who created the team for me. So this is a good example. Of course, like this is for fun, but it's a good example of how we can use this technology in a very easy manner, and I don't need to be technical. I mean, like, I created this in less than a minute. So it's a good example. I talked before about the foundation model, right? Like ChatGPT, well, GPT, Llama from Meta, Claude from Anthropic. But something that we have learned during the last few months is that it's super important to have different models for different purposes. So we need to select, we need to combine to give the best experience to our customers, right? And which is the situation right now with the models, right? I mean, like, I was talking before about the number of parameters. This is an example of how fast this technology is evolving over time. By 2018, we have a model called BERT that it had 330 million with a million parameters. Then we had GPT-2, 1.5 billion, then GPT-3, 175 billions. And today we can, estimate that, GPT-4, it has around, 1.5 trillion parameters. As I said, the more parameters, most of the times, the more capable is the model, right? But it's not about having a model that is super capable, but it's about having, model choice, flexibility, because for many different use cases, we need different models. And this is what we have done at AWS during the last few months. We offer right now the broadest choice of selection of foundation models for different purposes. We have models like AI21. This is a startup that is based on Tel Aviv, Israel, that is super good in writing or for writing assistant. We have models from Anthropic. Anthropic right now probably is leading this race in these more capable models. The founder of Anthropic, it was a chief scientist in OpenAI, and they are building these super capable models that they are called Claude and Claude 3.5 Sonnet that it was released only a few weeks ago. We have open weights models from Mistral, that is a startup from France. We have also Meta from Llama. But we also have models that are super good, for example, for image creation, like the models from Stability AI, or good models that are super good for text to video, like the models from Luma. Or we have models that are excelling in tasks for software developer, like we have the models from Poolside. So at AWS right now, we have the broadest choice of selection model. But also at Amazon, we are training our own foundation model. Why? Not because we want to sell these models to others, but because we are using these models for our own purpose. Last week, I was in Vegas during re:Invent, and we announced state-of-the-art model that it's called Amazon Nova, that is coming on different flavors. We have the micro model that is only for text, to be like super fast, to do, probably, working on agentic use cases. But we also have state-of-the-art models like Canvas that can generate, images, and we have also Reels that can generate video in terms of seconds, right? But I think it's going to be better if we see later how we are using these models for our own purpose, because this is how we bring value into the business, not by the models, but how they are improving our business by using these models. Because as I said, we have different models for different use cases. We may have use cases about summarization. We have use cases about Q&A. We have use cases about code interpretation or reasoning. That's why we use different models. But also because of operational characteristics. Some models, they are super fast, but they may be a bit slow. Or we have models that are super intelligent, but of course they are going to be slower. So we need to do trade-offs, and based on that, we will select one model or the other. Because, yeah, let me tell you something, most of the time, if it's so good, it used to be more expensive, and it used to be slower, right? So we need to do these trade-offs to select one model or the other, And the reality is like right now, 93% of the customers, this is based on a report that it was shared last summer, 93% of the customers, they are not using one model. They are using at least models for 3 or 4 different providers. So it's not about having the best model. It's about having the best model for one specific use case. And when you need to do trade-offs based on cost, based on latency, based on capability, the reality is like the more models you have, the more options you will be able to implement. For law, that is not going to change over time. It's about data. The importance of having good data for your different generative AI application. Because we talk a lot about generative AI, but this is the only part that we see. But this is the reality, all the data that is behind the scenes. And as I said, we can fine-tune these models, we can customize these models based on our own data. And this is one of the challenges that they have, the companies today. Because there are like many different ways like to customize the models. We can use techniques like prompt engineering that maybe like many of you have heard about it before. But with prompt engineering, we are not actually like modifying the architecture of the model. We can also use RAG. RAG is a technique where I can give the model my internal data. So like instead of getting access to their own training data, if I'm asking about, for example, my company, because the model has not been trained in specific data, I can say like, okay, I don't know the answer. I'm going to check, for example, this database, and I will generate a new answer based on this information. But also, we can fine-tune the model, and by fine-tuning, it means like we can modify the weights of the neural network to make sure that the model is going to adapt to new scenarios, right? To information that it didn't see before. But finally, and probably the most important lessons that we need to take today, is about generating value by the use of generative AI. Remember the video of like our robotic system in our fulfillment centers? This is why we are using generative AI, right? I think this is a good example, right? Let's say I'm a data analyst, or I'm a business analyst, or I'm just the CEO of one company that I want to know about my data. I see this dashboard that maybe I don't have idea about what that is saying, but I can say like, okay, write me a summary about the information, or maybe I need to know about like a number of loans in San Francisco during the last month. So I can ask questions in natural language to my dashboard. I don't need to be an expert. I just can talk to my data, and it's going to generate like this amazing information. I think this is a good example. This is another example, right? I need to create, for example, a position for a product marketing manager role for my marketing department. I can ask Amazon Q, and it's going to generate the entire offer for my HR department. And if I want to post the information or the job on LinkedIn, I can just create a shorter post for make it. Or let's say that I want to get information, for example, about the latest survey with a workshop that I run with my customers. So it's going to retrieve the information that I had from the survey, and it's going to give it for me. Even I can create like a table to summarize all the information. So this is real example of how, by using AI, I can get more value, so I can do more with less amount of time. This is also another example about, hey, I just want to summarize, for example, the meeting that we have on 3/11, and like it's giving all the information to me. But this is only about giving information, right? In the real world, what I would like to have is to take actions, not only to give me information, but to take action. So let's see a real example of an agent that is going to book a room in a hotel room for me. This virtual agent is an LLM, right? So it's asking for like places on Maui for a family vacation. So it's going to retrieve information because it's not on the training data, right? So the model needs to retrieve information from internal sources. So it's going to say like, yeah, here maybe it's a good place to go. What about August? So I need to check if I have like availability on August, and which are the events that they are going to happen, right? So as I said, it's not only the LLM, just like splitting information, but like getting access to different systems, making calls to different systems to retrieve information and send it to the customer. Okay, you lied, it will be good. Which is the price? And remember, when I was talking about taking actions, I will ask the model to book the room for me. So I'm not giving you all information, but I'm taking the action of booking the room for me. I think this is a great example of how we can automate a process. This is how we are using, for example, Amazon Nova. I mean, like, we are using it for our marketplace. So let's say, for example, I have all these different products, a toaster, an air fryer. I want to upload it to my marketplace, and I want to generate, like different images. For example, like I have the toast in a kitchen, okay, and with meal preparation, for example, I can also use it with meal preparation. So, like in a matter of seconds, I can generate all this information. Another example of how we are using Amazon Reel Nova is to create, for example, this amazing video. This is also made with pasta. I mean, like it's also, or everything it's AI generated, and I can create, like this amazing video how can, being used. And we are using this for our customers, so this is, like generating value from there. Which is the situation right now, and this is just, like the 2 more slides. So we've gone through the experimentation part. Right now, or we are trying to make sure that, the customers, they are moving into production. But remember, the real matter of these specific technologies is about to get real business value. And this is what we are going to see during the next few years, right? And where the market is going, or where I expect to happen many things on the next few months. So we are going to see a lot of agentic. As I said before, agentic is when I'm taking actions, right? I can call different systems to take different actions. And this means that, of course, we are going to see a lot of small foundation models, not large language models, but very small and specific foundation models to excel on very specific tasks. We are going to see a boom of like text to video. I mean, like the way that we are consuming today Netflix probably is going to be completely different in the next few years. I expect to see, for example, Game of Thrones, and because I don't leak the end, I'm going to say like, okay, generate a new end of the episode where blah, 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 blah. I mean, like, we are going to be the own directors of our series, of our movies. So this is going to be completely different. And we are already seeing this, like a huge exponential growth of text to video. Model choice, the more models we have, the better, but even this is going to change on real time. It wouldn't be us selecting, I want this model or I want the other. I will make a question, and the system will be more than capable to say like, okay, I need to select the query to one model or the other. As I said, everything is based on the transformer architecture on the paper that it was released by Google in 2018. I expect to see, and probably this year, new approaches to get new levels of intelligence, to have models that they are more capable, and this means like we need to take new different techniques. Because transformers and scaling laws for transformers have plateaued, so that means more innovative approach needs to come. And finally, we are going to see a consolidation of LLM providers, right? This is not a market for having like hundreds of different providers, so probably we see big players like Meta, Mistral, Anthropic that they are going to take the lead on this market. So I hope you like it. You can follow me on LinkedIn, so any question you may have, I will be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you so much. Have a good day.